How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to talk about sweet potatoes. It's about a week away from Thanksgiving, and I'm going to try and harvest some sweet potatoes that I've been growing so that we can make a sweet potato casserole for Thanksgiving. If you've never tried to grow sweet potatoes in your garden, you really should. It's one of the easiest things to grow, especially here in Florida. You can grow it year-round. It's basically a perennial in zones 9 through 11. If you live farther up north and get hard freezes, they will die off in the wintertime. However, you can dig up the tubers and save them over winter and then replant them in spring. Sweet potatoes are a vine. They make an excellent ground cover for your food forest or garden. They have pretty little blue flowers. Right now mine were blooming, but the frost we had about 2 weeks ago kind of killed off a lot of my sweet potatoes. This area did pretty good. It's in a raised bed right by the house, so not a whole lot of frost damage, but a little bit. Another area of my yard where I have a whole mess of sweet potatoes growing, they didn't fare so well. They were out in the middle of the yard and the freeze kind of killed off all the leaves. So we're going to harvest them. So I'm going to show you how to harvest them and then how to store them so that the starches will convert to sugars and make them a very sweet tasting treat. Another cool thing about sweet potatoes is the leaves are edible, so you can actually eat the leaves raw. The young tender leaves are better to eat raw for your salads, and then all the other leaves you can cook like any other green. So sautés, boil them, steam them, however you want. Cook them just like spinach or collard greens. I don't think I'm gonna save these because they're a little torn up from the frost. But we're gonna dig up some sweet potatoes and hopefully we got something. Sweet potatoes, if you want your garden to produce pounds and pounds of food, sweet potatoes is probably the easiest thing to grow. All right, I got a little milk crate here. I'll put all my potatoes in and let's get popping them up. Like I said, here in Florida, you can leave them in the ground year round and they'll just keep growing and growing, and you don't have to worry about replanting them. So I'll leave a few in the ground. See what happens. But for the most part, I'm going to leave this bed over winter. Get some compost, some mulch in here, and let it kind of recharge. Yeah, see, like this little guy, I'm just going to leave him buried in here, and he'll come up in the springtime. Here's a decent one. Not bad. Looks pretty good. Yeah, they're not giants, but there's a lot of them about this size. Hopefully they're good. All right, so that garden bed was not super productive, but I got about 7, 8 here, average size. Let's go check the other spot. This is the other area where I just randomly planted a bunch of sweet potatoes, and they seem to really like it here. This is not a raised garden bed. This is just my poor, sandy, junky soil, but they seem to thrive here, so they do well in any kind of environment. This sand is super hydrophobic, hardly any organic matter, and these sweet potatoes did pretty good here. So let's see if we can find any big ones. All right, let's see. Sand is probably going to be harder to dig in for sure. Little sweet potatoes there. There's one. Oh, there's another nice one. Good sweet potatoes, good size to them. Oop, there's another one. Another nice one. I'm gonna leave the smaller ones. Let them just kind of keep growing. They definitely loosened up the soil here. Ooh, here's a good one. Look at the gyat on that. So like I said, it makes a great ground cover. This soil where all these potatoes are growing is cool and moist, and it's actually holding water. So all this is improving the soil, and I'll just chop these vines down, use them as a chop and drop, and leave the smaller potatoes in the ground over winter, and they'll start shooting back up in the springtime. Not a whole lot of monsters, but that'll do. All right, so that's what we got for Thanksgiving. Good enough for me. That's more than enough to make some sweet potato casserole. Now I'm going to show you what to do to store them. You want them to store for about a week, you know, 5 to 7 days, and you don't want to get them wet. You just want to brush off all the sand, brush it off, don't spray it off with a hose, don't get them wet, and then leave them in a very humid, warm environment for about 5 to 7 days. And that'll convert all the starchiness in here into sugars and make them super sweet and really good tasting. So I'm just gonna get all this sand off. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You can wash them later after they've stored. And that's that. Super excited to try these. See if they're any good. So I'm just gonna keep mine in my garage. Here in Florida, the humidity's already high, and it's gonna be a warm week up until Thanksgiving. So it should be 70, 80 degrees in the garage the whole time. So these should cure very well. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and hope you guys have a safe, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy time with family, be safe traveling, and we'll catch you afterward. Later, everybody.